Infidelity is a painful topic, but sometimes the signs are there before the truth comes out. Psychology has identified behavioral patterns that may indicate a cheating spouse. In this video, we'll explore 10 psychological signs of a cheating wife, backed by expert insights. Stay tuned until the end to learn how to handle the situation wisely. Before we dive into the 10 signs your wife might be cheating, let's take a moment to understand what cheating really means. Cheating isn't just about physical affairs. It can be emotional, digital, or even secretive behaviors that betray trust. When someone hides conversations, shares intimacy with someone else, or starts prioritizing another person over their partner, that's a form of betrayal too. In short, cheating is anything that crosses the boundaries of trust and commitment in a relationship. Now that we understand what cheating is, let's explore the 10 warning signs you should look out for. One of the first signs that your wife might be cheating is a sudden and unusual focus on her appearance. Of course, it's completely normal for people to want to look good, but when these changes happen abruptly and drastically, it could mean something more. If your wife starts buying new, stylish clothes, experimenting with different hairstyles, or suddenly develops an obsession with going to the gym, ask yourself, who is she trying to impress? A simple desire for self-improvement is healthy, but when it comes out of nowhere, especially when she's never shown interest before, it might be a red flag. According to Dr. Shirley Glass, a renowned psychologist and expert on infidelity, people in affairs often experience a renewed sense of excitement, leading them to invest more in their appearance. This means that when someone is emotionally or physically involved with another person, they often feel a rush of new energy, pushing them to change the way they look. It's also important to observe how she reacts when you compliment her new look. Does she seem unusually excited? Or, on the other hand, does she brush off your compliments as if they don't matter? If her efforts aren't directed at you, they might be for someone else. This is just one of the many possible signs of infidelity. Let's take a look at the other warning signs you should be aware of. The second sign: increased secrecy with her phone or computer. Another major red flag that your wife might be cheating is if she suddenly becomes overly protective of her phone or computer. In today's world, technology plays a huge role in our relationships, and how someone uses their devices can reveal a lot. If she used to leave her phone lying around, but now keeps it glued to her side, constantly tilts the screen away when you walk by, or suddenly adds new passwords, it could mean she's hiding something. Of course, privacy is important, but a drastic change in behavior, like deleting messages or closing apps whenever you enter the room, is a reason to be suspicious. According to Dr. David Lusterman, a psychologist specializing in relationships, secrecy in technology use is often a sign of emotional or physical affairs developing in the digital age. In other words, when someone starts guarding their phone like their life depends on it, it could mean they're communicating with someone they don't want you to know about. You might also notice changes in how she reacts when you ask to use her phone. Does she seem defensive? Does she get nervous or even angry? These behaviors could indicate that there's something she doesn't want you to see. A sudden increase in secrecy is definitely a warning sign, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. Let's move on to the next clue that may suggest infidelity. The third sign: she is often unreachable without a clear explanation. Another concerning sign that your wife might be cheating is when she frequently becomes unreachable for long periods without a clear explanation. We all get busy sometimes, but when someone consistently ignores calls, delays responses, or gives vague excuses, it could mean they're hiding something. Maybe she used to answer your calls right away, but now she suddenly claims her phone died all the time. Or she says she didn't see your message, even though she's always on her phone for other things. If she starts taking longer to reply, or giving excuses that don't add up, it might be time to ask yourself, what is she really doing during those moments? According to Dr. John Gottman, a leading relationship expert, emotional distance and avoidance behaviors are often indicators of deeper relationship issues, including infidelity. When someone is emotionally checked out, they may also start avoiding communication as a way to create distance. Pay attention to when and where this happens. Does she disappear at certain times of the day? Does she suddenly have a lot of unexplained errands? These little patterns could reveal more than she's willing to admit. If your wife is frequently unreachable without a valid reason, it might be time to start asking some tough questions. The fourth sign: noticeable changes in your sex life. One of the most telling signs that your wife might be cheating is a sudden and noticeable change in your sex life. Physical intimacy is a key part of any romantic relationship, and when something shifts drastically, either increasing, decreasing, or changing in unexpected ways, it could be a sign of deeper issues. If she suddenly loses interest in intimacy, avoids physical contact, or makes excuses to not be affectionate, he may be emotionally disconnected, or possibly getting that attention elsewhere. On the other hand, if she becomes more experimental, trying new things out of nowhere, it could mean she's learning or experiencing something new from outside the relationship. According to Dr. Tammy Nelson, a certified sex therapist, infidelity often changes a person's sexual behaviors, sometimes making them more experimental, other times more withdrawn. This means that a change in bedroom habits, whether it's a sudden lack of passion or new, unexpected behaviors, can sometimes be linked to an affair. It's important to look at these changes in context. Has she also become more distant in other ways? Does she seem emotionally checked out? Or, on the flip side, is she suddenly overly affectionate out of guilt? These shifts in behavior could be warning signs. Changes in intimacy can be hard to talk about, but they're often a sign of something deeper happening in the relationship. Now, let's take a look at the next major sign that your wife may be unfaithful. The fifth sign: she starts emotionally withdrawing from the relationship. A strong relationship is built on emotional connection, so when your wife starts pulling away, it could be a serious red flag. If she no longer shares her thoughts, feelings, or daily experiences the way she used to, she may be emotionally withdrawing, and that could be a sign of infidelity. Maybe she used to talk to you about her day, her worries, and her dreams, but now she gives short, vague answers or avoids deep conversations altogether. She might seem distracted when you're together, lost in her own world, or uninterested in spending quality time with you. If she used to come to you for emotional support, but now turns to someone else, that could be a sign she's investing her emotions outside the relationship. According to Dr. Esther Perel, a leading expert on relationships, emotional disconnection is one of the first signs that a partner is investing their energy elsewhere. This means that before physical cheating even happens, many people detach emotionally first, forming a deep bond with someone new while distancing themselves from their partner. If she no longer argues, doesn't seem to care about things that used to matter in your relationship, or seems emotionally numb, she might already be emotionally checked out. Emotional withdrawal is often a precursor to physical infidelity, and ignoring it can make things worse. The sixth sign: she starts accusing you of cheating. One of the most unexpected signs that your wife might be cheating is if she suddenly starts accusing you of infidelity. While it may seem confusing, this behavior is actually a psychological defense mechanism known as projection, when someone attributes their own wrongdoings to someone else. A leading psychologist in deception detection, people who cheat may accuse their partners to deflect suspicion and alleviate guilt. In other words, by accusing you, she may be trying to justify her own behavior or even convince herself that you're doing the same thing. This tactic can also make it harder for you to question her actions. If she constantly makes you feel like the guilty one, you might be too distracted or emotionally drained to notice the real problem: her own questionable behavior. If your wife suddenly becomes obsessed with accusing you of cheating without any real reason, it might be time to take a step back and look at what's really going on. The seventh sign: unexplained changes to her schedule. A sudden shift in your wife's daily routine could be more than just a busy schedule. It might be a sign that she is making time for someone else. When she starts working late more often, attending more social events, or frequently going on trips without a clear explanation, it's worth paying attention. Of course, life can get busy, and schedules do change. But if these changes come out of nowhere, and she is being vague about where she is going or who she is with, it could be a red flag. Maybe she suddenly spends extra hours at the office, but when you ask about it, she gives short, unconvincing answers. Or perhaps she starts going out more, saying she's meeting friends, but never mentions names or details. According to Dr. Kenneth Rosenberg, a psychiatrist specializing in infidelity, unexplained routine changes often indicate an affair. People in affairs create new time slots for their secret relationships. This means that when someone is cheating, they often have to rearrange their schedule to make time for their affair, whether it's during lunch breaks, after work, or even on weekends. Pay close attention to how she reacts when you ask about her schedule. Does she get defensive? Does she avoid giving clear answers? If her routine keeps changing and she doesn't seem to have a good explanation, it might be time to start asking yourself why. Unexplained changes in routine are often a major clue, but they're just one part of the puzzle. The 8th sign: she becomes more critical and negative toward you. A sudden shift in your wife's attitude toward you can be a major red flag. If she has become more irritable, easily annoyed, or overly critical, it could be her way of justifying her actions. When someone feels guilty about cheating, they often try to shift the blame onto their partner. Maybe she used to appreciate the little things you did, but now nothing seems to be good enough. She criticizes the way you talk, dress, or even how you do simple tasks. Small arguments turn into big fights, and she seems to be constantly pushing you away. This negativity might not be about you at all. It could be her own guilt speaking. According to Dr. Frank Pittman, a psychiatrist specializing in infidelity, cheating spouses often devalue their partners to rationalize their behavior. It's easier to cheat on someone if you convince yourself they're not good enough for you. In other words, instead of admitting wrongdoing, a cheating partner may convince themselves that the relationship is already broken, making it easier to betray their spouse. If your wife used to be loving and supportive, but now seems distant and critical, ask yourself, what changed? Is there a real issue, or is she trying to rewrite the story to excuse her own actions? Being overly critical is often a sign of emotional disconnection, but it's not the only clue. The 9th sign: she becomes overly protective of her personal space. In a healthy relationship, trust and openness are key, but if your wife suddenly becomes overly protective of her personal space, it might be a sign that she's hiding something. A sudden need for more privacy, especially in a relationship that was once open, can be a major red flag. Maybe she used to leave her phone unlocked, but now she changes passwords frequently or keeps it out of sight. If she suddenly reacts defensively when you pick up her phone, glance at her screen, or even touch her belongings, it could mean there's something she doesn't want you to see. According to Dr. Robert Weiss, a clinical psychologist specializing in relationships, a dramatic shift in privacy needs often suggests deception, especially in relationships where openness was once the norm. This means that when someone starts hiding things out of nowhere, it monos often a sign that they hamquip, or engaging in behavior they don't, but want their partner to discover. Of course, everyone deserves privacy, but there's a difference between healthy boundaries and sudden secrecy. If she goes from being open to guarding her phone, changing computer passwords, or refusing to share details about her day, it's worth paying attention to. Needing more privacy isn't always a sign of cheating, but when it happens suddenly and without reason, it raises questions. And the last sign: unexplained expenses on her financial records. Finances often tell a story, and if you start noticing unexplained expenses in your wife's financial records, such as hotel bookings, restaurant bills, or gift purchases you never received, it could be a sign of something more than just random spending. Affairs often leave a financial trail. Maybe she suddenly withdraws cash more often to avoid leaving digital proof, or you find charges for expensive dinners, trips, or gifts that don't seem to involve you. If you ask about them and she gives vague or defensive answers, it might be time to look deeper. According to Dr. Scott Haltzman, a relationship expert, infidelity often leaves a financial trail, and unexpected spending patterns can reveal hidden relationships. This means that while someone may try to hide their actions, their spending habits can still give them away. Has she become more secretive about money? Suddenly wanting separate accounts or refusing to discuss finances? Has she started spending more than usual but has no clear explanation for it? These changes, when combined with other signs of secrecy, could indicate she's financially supporting a secret life. Money doesn't lie, and unexpected expenses could be one of the biggest clues in uncovering infidelity. Now that we've covered all 10 signs, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. If you recognize multiple signs from this list, don't jump to conclusions. Communication is key. Instead of making accusations, have an open and honest conversation with your partner. Remember, trust is the foundation of any strong relationship. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next one.